Today, I'm sharing the results of a clinical study that we published in the Wisconsin Medical Journal, and I'm going to give you the details of the protocol that we used and that I continue to use to help people with type 2 diabetes get completely off insulin in a safe and thoughtful manner. People on our study were on insulin, many of them for over 10 years, and they were able to get off in under 6 months. If you have diabetes, especially if you have insulin, but any type of type 2 diabetes, I think you're going to find this very, very fascinating. I think it can change how you see this condition. And if you don't have type 2 diabetes, stick around. If you are trying to lose weight, if you're interested in the metabolism, I want to show you that the exact same protocol that we use to help people do this process is the same thing that can help people to lose weight, burn off excess body fat, and make sure that you never develop type 2 diabetes to begin with. Do everything that we can to minimize the impact of this condition. Profound space. We're going to be looking at a profound space metabolism in the body to see how a fasting-based dietary protocol can get into the root levels of our metabolism and have a broad influence on our health. That's where we're going today. Feel free, share reflections, thoughts, observations in the chat as we go along. Be happy to have a big discussion about it. So metabolic health, we are in a tight spot, a difficult spot in society today. Here is some information just on prediabetes in America. 115 million adults, 8 out of 10 who do not know it. So prediabetes, the type of thing that is happening in the background so often. And this is the start of the process that is leading toward type 2 diabetes ultimately. And this prediabetes space, the beginnings of insulin resistance is happening, and it's intimately wound in with metabolic dysfunction of all kinds, and especially weight gain. So anyone who is struggling with weight gain, you can know you've got some insulin resistance happening, and then there's a risk that prediabetes and this whole process can be starting. Now, when we zoom in on age groups 65 and up in the U.S., it's up to 50%, about 50% of people pre-diabetic by 65, and then 30% have type 2 diabetes by that point. So if you're a younger person and you're in, this society and you see it can almost feel inevitable, like this is where it's going. And so if you're in an older group, then you see this is like a common thing that is happening. So this is the problem that we are at. And this, you can almost feel like it's a conveyor belt. It's just bringing people along into this place. And you say, how do we get off? The problem is that we're told, well, this is a one-way street. The conveyor belt runs in one direction. This is just the type of thing that happens to people as they get older. This is what happens. And you just got to take the medicine and do the best that we can. And especially insulin is like the end of the line. It's the most powerful diabetic medicine. But then, from a certain perspective, insulin doesn't have so many side effects because it's physiologic. Insulin is a natural hormone in the body, but it has weight gain as a side effect. And so this sets up a very difficult cycle. Start taking insulin to help blood sugar go down, and then it works. But how does it make it go down? It's by jamming it inside of body fat cells, and then the total energy in the system is increased, and it drives insulin resistance in a cycle, and then that cycle can feel impossible to break. No one has the idea to even think of breaking it. That's the thing. It's like almost invisible. It's like it's not a problem we can solve, but it is a problem we can solve, and we can significantly push back against this. So my good news for everybody, it's not a one-way street. Does a one-way street ever feel like this? The sign is pointing down into the ground. Not very encouraging, okay? The good news is that we have tools that can push back significantly against this, especially when we open our mind to some different ways of thinking about it that we are going to do. I am going to share this protocol with you that I developed over a number of years while I was at the University of Wisconsin, and really think that it is extremely exciting, and I just hope that we can spark a bigger conversation about it. There is a way out of the metabolic dysfunction, both for the future state, means preventing this situation from happening. The conveyor belt say is not inevitable that we have metabolic dysfunction. And if you are in a difficult place now, even in the very most difficult space, I say having to use insulin for type 2 diabetes is the most difficult metabolic space. Very difficult. This situation, insulin using type 2 diabetes, we can use like a lens to see, because it lets you see the power of the protocol, because to take even a very difficult place and reverse it, make it go away, is possible. I think so many people do not believe it is possible. And so from my perspective, this research, a glimpse into what is possible. So I want to give you a big message of hope in this, a big encouragement, but no hype, okay? To do this protocol, it is a commitment. The incredible people who did this protocol along with me, anybody who comes to work with me, it's a commitment, you know? It is. And so there's no magic to it. There's just physiology, and we're going to get into the physiology of what is happening. So core concept for everybody who has a metabolism, okay? Fasting and insulin is like a universal rule that insulin is having the same types of effects. Insulin is a hormone. It's a message to the body. It is telling things to the body, telling the body, hey, take extra glucose that is in the bloodstream, get it in the cells where it's safer, where it's not out in the blood vessels reacting with things. All right? So if you're struggling with weight, you're trying to get that down. You're struggling with type 2 diabetes, and you're taking synthetic insulin to try to keep the blood sugar under control. We can see in both of these scenarios, the way that insulin is working is driving these things. And so the other thing that insulin does, okay, insulin, because it's driving the energy in the fat cell, you can think of it like a cap over the fat cell, is blocking access to the fat cell. You can see it's telling the body, this is not the time to be losing weight, not the time to be taking energy out of the cell, because we're putting energy into the cell. So if we want to reverse that process, you see, we need to bring the insulin level down so that that will dissociate, separate, make the body fat cell available, and then we can start running the system in reverse, giving the body permission to get that. That's what the hormonal state of the body is doing. So wherever we're at, diabetes, weight issues, maybe dealing with both of these things, we see benefit can come as we bring the insulin down appropriately, right? If you have type 2 diabetes, you don't make any changes to it, you don't have a protocol or a process thoughtful, you just stop your insulin and the blood sugar blows up, there's like nothing good going to come from that, right? So it has to be done in a very thoughtful manner. So I'm not going to do a deep literature review. I just tell you many studies demonstrate, okay, improved insulin sensitivity. I mean, the insulin that we have in our body, whether it is synthetically given or naturally generated from our pancreas, both a fasting period and a period of low carbohydrate eating in both people with diabetes and people without diabetes can help to improve insulin sensitivity, make the insulin go farther, so we need less of it. And as we need less of it, that's what's taking away the pressure to drive insulin resistance. So I'm not going to review all those studies because I want to review my study. I've got links to my study that I'm discussing, and all of the papers that I reference are outlined there. So feel free to read them all, and we can have a detailed discussion of it in the comments of this video in the future. So I want to dive in specifically on insulin use. So insulin-using patients have the most severe manifestation of type 2 diabetes. And so I just want to bring a lot of appreciation to it, okay? Very difficult space to be in. The body has used all of its compensation, and then now we have to add insulin to it. And therefore, what I say about it, people in this situation are in the greatest need of help. They have the very most to gain from fasting-based process, from low carbohydrate eating, especially very, very low carbohydrate eating. We're trying to use our most powerful processes to give the body a break and some space to let things come into balance. And the unfortunate reality is that people who have the very most severe manifestation of diabetes, whose metabolism is, very weak, needing a huge amount of assistance, these are the exact people that we tell in standard medical counseling that you cannot use these processes. And this is the big drive behind my study, is actually, these are the people that need the help the most, and we should be, as a healthcare system, developing ways to help people with this. And then through that, what I have seen with it is through that process, we can come to help, everybody. So many more people too. Anybody dealing with metabolic dysfunction. So this is the core idea and the question of the study. Instead of conforming the lifestyle of someone who is using insulin to the medication, what if we worked backwards? And what if we conformed the medication to a more effective lifestyle process? So that's what we're doing in the study. It's we've been so focused on the medicine that everything has to revolve around it. And our study is different. It shows a different way of doing it. We paired this protocol, low-carb, time-restricted feeding. I like to put time-restricted eating protocol, along with a proactive insulin titration to bring the power of fasting and low carbohydrate eating to the people who need it most. See, here's the thing. Insulin is the most powerful medicine, right? And so if you take the most powerful medicine and you add in the most powerful dietary practices, can you drop your blood sugar too low? Could it be dangerous? Absolutely, it could be, right? It's not the fasting, from my perspective. It's not the low carbohydrate eating that is the true danger. It's the medication in that is the true danger, right? The body is built to be able to practice fasting. The body is built to eat healthy protein and fat-rich foods and handle, some vegetables, okay? Is when we put the body in that space, that is a healing space. It's the medicine that drives it too low, and the medicine can be changed. So often in medicine, we say, the medicine is be there. It has to stay, okay? So we developed a titration protocol to help people to do it. Here is our study. Here is the links. You can review it, read the whole thing. I read the whole paper again last night. I love it. I'm a little biased. I am a little biased. Feasibility study of the protocol for insulin using type 2 diabetic patients is a safety study as much as anything. It took me multiple years to get this approved by the Institutional Review Board, amazingly, which is really hard to believe, since it's essentially nothing. It's essentially nothing. It's we're going to eat twice in a day instead of 3 to 6 times, right? And then we're going to thoughtfully monitor the insulin and dial it down. So here's the study. 6-month study, University of Wisconsin. Patients had been using insulin for average of over 9 years, some people over 13 years. And we put them on the protocol. Time-restricted eating means eating all calories in 2 meals within a 6 to 8 hour window. It's a classic 16-8 protocol, but for insulin using type 2 diabetes and paired with a very low carbohydrate diet. So our goal intake was 30 grams. So we're getting toward that keto sort of level. And we provided people with a lot of resources on how to do that. So close monitoring, proactive adjustment of medications. Here's how we start. Someone is taking a basal, meaning long-acting insulin. We cut that in half. Basal insulin might last 24 or more hours, and that is the type of thing that if you start fasting, okay, that medicine doesn't go away. Powerful medicine still going to be there, can drop your blood sugar too low. So the basal insulin is actually the most dangerous. Usually a basal is the first thing that people will get started on, but it's the first to go in our protocol, so we get it out of the fasting window, and then we eliminate any short-acting insulin doses when people are fasting. That takes all the pressure off that open space that would be driving the insulin, the blood sugar too low. And then the food in our study, this is how we have people eat very low-carb meals, but ideally as tasty as possible. And these would be two very representative examples of what we have people eating. And if anybody is here, say, trying to lose weight, try to get an effect like this, hey, these are the types of meals I would want people to be considering. Now, if you say, oh, it's a little too Spartan, I say, look at the top one, have 2 eggs, even 3. Okay, that's no problem. And honestly, one of the benefits of eating like this healthy, tasty food is like, think of this bottom one. Okay, we're having some sort of protein, some sort of veggie, but look, no pile of rice and no roll, right? We're just getting all the extra carbs out. I say have double veggies or even a double salmon, and you're probably going to be okay. You know, portion control, we talk a lot about. They don't have to be mini baby meals. They don't have to be huge meals either. We want something in balance. Usually what I tell people is you want to eat enough where you feel satisfied. You want to eat slow enough that you can find the point where you can ask the question, like, if I didn't take another bite, could I just be okay here? You know, that's a good spot. Not waiting till the system is like totally crammed full. Okay, so this is the study right here. You eat one meal like this, and then you eat another one. And we had people do it, and we had them log their meals and track it for 6 months. And I say, wow, results. So over 6 months, this is what people experienced in our study. The very most important thing, in my view, no adverse events requiring medical attention. This is the big thing. People on the institutional review board at the university just terrified. They say you're going to hurt people. People think fasting going to hurt people, and people think that bringing it into this space would be dangerous. The thing that people don't realize is how dangerous insulin is, and we are creating eating and food environments that make people have to stay on insulin, and we are creating more and more dangerous experiences. Insulin, one of the most common medications that leads to hospitalization and emergency department visits itself. If you ask anyone who's taking insulin, do you ever get lows? People get lows, okay? And lows are very, very hard on the body, and they can be very dangerous. And so a protocol that takes the insulin away, when it is done proactively, get the drug out of the way. It is a way to make our entire medical experience so much safer for people in this situation. So our protocol was very, very thoughtful. We had huge patient contact. We had patient contact either with a physician or a nurse every day that a patient was still on insulin until they get off. We are keeping close tabs with a caveat. I think I put it here that if someone stabilized you'll see the results by 3 months. If people stabilize, it didn't get completely off, by 3 months we would stop talking to them every day, and they can call. So you have to understand what we are doing. We don't just stop insulin on somebody. We don't just, it doesn't just happen, right? Daily contact, very significant protocol. You don't need the details of this. I just put it here. Here's the basal insulin titration protocol from our hypoglycemia mitigation process. You can just see we're seeing the doses of insulin along the left-hand side, and then we're seeing the blood sugar levels. And you see if someone's, look at that second column from right, 121 to 300, we're not changing things. If the blood sugar starts going under 120, we're giving it a huge buffer, right? Way out in front of it. We're either stopping it or dose reducing at that point. And then the more the sugar drops, the more aggressively we cut back. And if everyone's ever having a low, it's like the insulin is straight out of the way, because that's telling you, in the standard sort of thinking, someone on insulin gets a low. What does the advice. Say, oh, you didn't eat enough. Right? This is how we extra drive the cycles of weight gain. And in the short term, okay, everybody in our study got glucose tabs. You can hit some sugar immediately if you ever needed it. Nobody needing to do it because our titration, got way out of the way. But yes, if you get a low, if you're using insulin, if you're on other diabetic medications, you get a low, of course, get some sugar in, bump it right back up. But then the message really should be the medicine was too much, right? Don't make people eat more. Don't make somebody who is overweight and trying to lose weight eat more to keep up with the medication. Just get the medication out of the way. This is the real paradigm change that we need to think about a lot more in my view. So here's more results. Okay, we had 20 participants in our study, and also completely incredible, 19 out of 20 participants who signed up for this study completed it. Only one person didn't do it, and they went through kind of the onboarding. They signed all this stuff. They started it, and then they didn't do it at all. They did nothing. Say, it isn't for me. Okay, but the 19 people who signed up and started out, everybody else finished it. Like, it's totally fine. Nobody has to ever do it, of course, but it's just incredible. Like, if you were to just survey people and say, who do you think are like least likely to be able to complete a 6-month fasting study? I think people would say, insulin using people with type 2 diabetes, like who are significantly overweight, they're never going to do it, right? It's like, but it's actually the complete opposite. It's highly motivated. Like, you tell somebody who's using insulin, who having to give injections to themselves all the time, like, there's a pathway where you might be able to get your way out of it, and I'll help you do it. Like, people very happy about it. So if you're in that scenario, just stick around, come listen and talk to me. I'll help you. We will help you. 14 out of the 19 who did the protocol got completely off insulin by 6 months. I mean, I think it's really, I say, wow. I just think it's amazing. So here is total insulin use across the study. So this is average across 19 people coming in. The average insulin use was 72 units of insulin a day. And by 3 months at the mid check-in, we're down to basically 11 and then 9.5 on average by the end of the study. So it just makes such a dramatic impact. Total insulin use reduced by 86% over 6 months. What a safer space is that, okay? From so much insulin being brought in to minimal insulin is just things coming into balance. Do you see that this protocol, this way of eating and going through it, is bringing things back into balance and into a significantly safer space? So the people who remained on insulin, 5 out of the 19 stayed on insulin. Their dose was 72% less. So even though they're on insulin, right, their dose is so much less. Think of the chance that they're going to develop severe hypoglycemia at some point is significantly less. And think of the weight gaining drive that these medicines are giving them, significantly less. So here is breaking out all 19 study participants by their total dose. And so the highest insulin use at the top one person, 225 units a day, and then it's all the way down, and then the lowest around 20 units a day. And so these are our data points where we are just checking at 1 and 3 months. So if you look, everybody who got off, 14 of the 19 people were off by 3 months, and then the other 5 people, certainly there is a trend through it as you go through that it is also getting better. And I have to tell you, I've worked with many people in these situations too. Is very likely over time that even someone at 225 going to get off, but it's not, that didn't happen in 6 months. But I bet you by another 6 months we would, if you stick with it, it's going to keep working down. And I believe in this protocol. Anybody who sticks with it going to be able to work the process over time. Definitely not instantly, but I think it's amazing to see it just split out and see these lines all converge and heading down. Love it. Here's the best caveat of all, right? anybody can stop their insulin who has type 2 diabetes, and their blood sugar can explode. And if your A1C is 13, like, it's going to be terrible, right? So we did all of these things, all of this insulin out of the way, and the A1C did not change. So I put in here the asterisk for recruitment criteria. So the IRB at the university did not let us recruit any patients who were well controlled, okay? So everybody had to have an A1C over 7, which is very interesting. So if we had recruited a population of patients whose A1C was all 6.2, and then we would have, I'm sure we could have kept it stable at 6.2. So we ran the protocol to use the dietary process to replace insulin. Some people gave me some criticism on the study. They said, well, the A1C didn't improve too, and is still 7.8. I was like, look, we very specifically designed this study to isolate the insulin effect of this protocol. And what we showed is we can replace the insulin that people are using without changing the blood sugar. And I just think that's very profound. And 6 months is a very short amount of time to accomplish that. And I got to tell you, we have huge ability to dial in on this next part as well. We also did not optimize. The only changes we made were insulin, and we did not optimize non-diabetic medications or 100 other ways that we can get at this. We just isolated the insulin effect. Here's a change in BMI. Look at the scale on the left from 28 to 35. People lost 4 points of BMI on average, going from about 34.5 down to about 30.5. And then that corresponded with an average weight loss of about 26 pounds across the study over 6 months for each person. So this process, a powerful process for weight loss as well. We also documented significant improvement in blood pressure. On average, people lost 10 points on systolic blood pressure, going from 134 to 124 on average. With the skew, we did talk the other day, the other month, on blood pressure. People whose blood pressure was not significantly high don't drop their blood pressure, and people whose blood pressure was significantly high to start dropped it a lot. And so within that is how we get to the average, but some people benefiting quite a lot. 3 patients discontinued antihypertensive medicines due to improvement in their blood pressure over 6 months too, so it's like a bonus. And then we did a quality of life measurement, appraisal of diabetes scale, significant improvement in those scores. So people feeling better, more energy, happy they do it. Most people wanted to continue, everybody want to continue the protocol when they're done. So how do we apply information like this to our life if you're here for weight loss, if you're moving toward it, okay, if you're not on some sort of blood sugar medication? I say, I'm a primary care doctor historically. I always want to know what my patients are doing. I advise everybody talk about your dietary and health routines with your medical team. A fasting process is out there, this sort of thing, eating twice in a day. You can do it. Does seeing the pictures of the food, does seeing what people are doing. A big part of our intervention too is like food monitoring, everybody logging their food every day. And I think that's probably part of the intervention too, it's just bringing mindfulness to it. Read our paper, look exactly what we did, and bring every good process of health. I didn't mention in here, everybody getting some baseline exercise recommendations, get 20 minutes of walking in. So this was a comprehensive process. I say, this is what I want to help you try to do here on the channel. We're building comprehensive health process to try to get incredible results for people. I think these results are incredible. I've replicated them many times. I was doing this before the study. I used my case series of patients to help get the grant to fund the study. And then after the study, I just keep helping as people come to me to consult. I help people do things like this. So if someone has type 2 diabetes, then you especially need a lot of help with it, and especially insulin, right? Because it's the medications that interact with this lifestyle. I like to look at it that way. It's not that the lifestyle is getting in the way of the medications. So you absolutely, if you are taking medicines for blood sugar, you have to connect with your medical team absolutely before you do something like this, so that you can take away any risk. And then the issue is, this is like, most doctors are like a prescription service. It's not a de-prescription service. And so most doctors are much more comfortable writing the script than taking them away. And a lot of what I do is kind of a de-prescription service, because as we implement powerful practices into our life, open up fasting space, cutting out the processed foods, start an exercise routine, all of these things are so good. Bringing in beautiful mindfulness practices to help bring the stress level down. Do you see that in your blood sugar? You're stressed out by things. He's like, you see the blood sugar go up. Okay, the opposite is also true. We bring in really a lot of mindfulness practices, get that blood sugar flowing in a better way. I made the Dr. Z method specifically to help people with this process. It's an educational program where you can learn in detail everything we do in the study, all the protocols. I've got tools to help people communicate with your medical team. I'm not prescribing or de-prescribing anything in that service, but I'm teaching people all of the knowledge about it, so that when you are interacting with your doctor, you have the words and the knowledge to use, so that you can have a good relationship with your medical team and they can help you to do it. And then I've got a lot of support built in there. It's like, we can meet on a Zoom call every week, and you can meet other people who are doing it. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful program. So do you have friends or family, or are you personally dealing with type 2 diabetes? I would love to help you out. I have a large capacity to help with this situation. A great deal of out-of-the-box thinking, and I can help people to have very good results with it. So that is my study. I would love to hear your thoughts and reflections and perspectives. Share them in the chat. Share them in the comments if you are here on the replay. Glad to have you here. Throw your questions in the comments, and we can have an ongoing discussion about it. Also, if you head to simplefasting.com, you can learn more about my perspective there. I have writing there. And you can send me an email. You want to have a private discussion about it. I'll put my email in the chat. drz@simplefasting.com. Send an email, and I'd love to have a chat. And also head over to the Dr. Z Method, drzmethod.com, and you can check out that. And if you are dealing with any sort of metabolic issue, I think you really like it. It's nice. We got a wonderful course, wonderful people you can chat with, and I would love to chat with you. So that was my experience doing this study. Doing this study, I say, is one of my favorite things that I did in medicine. It was a very fascinating thing to do and experience. I'm extremely grateful for everybody who helped me do it. At the university, Linda Beyer, incredible support. Thank you so much for that. Fauzia Osman, who did all the statistical analysis, couldn't have done that without you. Really appreciate that. And then Dr. Feldstein, fantastic researcher. If by any way you find this, I say a big hello to you. I hope you're doing so well. I'm very grateful for all the hours and support and meetings, and helping me to get this through the IRB process and be able to put such a beautiful thing into the literature. I think it's really cool. I would love to be able to have a broader discussion about it. I think it's an incredible process. I think in my vision of the future, it's the type of thing that would scale into like a huge process. You saw the data I presented. As millions of people are in a situation that can really benefit from these processes. I think we need humongous studies of it, many more studies. I'm going to do a follow-up study about one of my favorite studies. There is one randomized controlled trial that took a protocol similar to what I do. Not quite as cool. Similar though, still cool, and did it in a randomized controlled trial, and I'm going to give a talk on that because I feel like my study is just another arm of that study, and there's many limitations to this study. Tiny study, not randomized, observational study, one clinic. It's helpful when you have an RCT that is helps to confirm results that you find in an observational study, helps to add some validity to it. And so that'll be the next step. That'll be another talk. I'll probably link it up here somewhere. Follow it one after the other. Nice to be with you today. Thanks for checking out this information. Let it roll around. Think a little bit about it and let me know your thoughts. And I will look forward to talking with you again soon. Be well, everybody.